the key single fact about fixing excessive overbite. So before we get to that though, let me show you. Remember, this is what we want. When your teeth fit together like this, and they're lined up like this, we believe that this can be the most stable and functional and definitely cosmetic result. When we're talking about bites, we don't want underbites, right? Everybody knows that when your bottom teeth are out in front of your top teeth. We also don't want excessive overbites, what the orthodontists call overjet. That's where your teeth on top stick out in front of your bottom teeth. You can check out all the videos. Some people that have excessive overjet, or we'll just call it overbite because that's what a lot of people think of it as. Excessive overbite, those are the folks that have chins that look like they're really far back. Not everybody though. Sometimes the way that your teeth line up and your soft tissue, it masks, right? It makes it look kind of like a camouflage. It makes it look like you don't actually have an overbite. That's what an excessive overbite is. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal because there's something really important about fixing it that we recently learned. Like I said, over the last several years, research has come out and more orthodontists are becoming familiar with it, but perhaps the general dentists don't know yet and friends don't know yet. You've already gone through treatment before and you're like, well, I did it this way before. Well, this is important. You need to share this with your friends. So, excessive overbite. How do we fix it? What's the key? What's the single most important factor? We don't want this, we want this. Before we get to that point, I had a visit today, consult, came in, new patient. We did the consult for the young child, and then the responsible party for this patient says, well, I need to bring in my 7th grader who has overbite. And I'm like, oh my gosh, tell me about this overbite. Are we talking about a boy or a girl? Are we talking about like excessive or not too bad? And the reason why is because the single most important fact about excessive overbite, I'm not talking about just like a little bit. I'm not talking about a little bit. I'm talking about where your canine, your top canine compared to your bottom teeth. See how your top canine is behind your bottom canine? You should check out your teeth. When you bite down normal, don't push forward, right? Some people smile like this. And I was like, no, bite on your back teeth. Try to get these bottom teeth, your bottom teeth, to touch as far back behind your top teeth as you can. You don't want to hurt your joint here, but I don't want you doing this like when you smile, okay? See how far you go back. And if your top canine is behind your bottom canine, you probably don't have excessive overbite. But again, some people don't know how to put their bite together right? They're always doing this, or go see the orthodontist so they can evaluate if you really have excessive overbite. But let's say you are biting correctly. And let's say your top canine, look, it's going forward. If your top canine is in front of your bottom teeth, let's say your top canine right here is in front of your bottom canine, right? It's supposed to be right here. If you have from here forward, that is excessive overbite. That's almost like a full tooth ahead of where it's supposed to be. I mean, it is a full tooth ahead of where it's supposed to be. That is significant, and it's really hard to fix. If your orthodontist says, hey, let's just do rubber bands, man, that is tough. Not that the rubber bands can't work. It's just really hard to get them to work predictably. So you want to know how you can fix it and how you can do it well, the least amount of headache, and try to get a predictable result. So this is it, the single most important fact when it comes to fixing overbites. That responsible party that had to get their 7th grader in, I'm like, you better get in quick, because the most important fact in fixing overbite is timing. That's it. Timing. When you do this is important. If you wait and you're like, well, when is it supposed to be? When is the right time? Well, everybody's a little bit different, but we are trying to shoot to fix this problem, right? The excessive overbite around the time or slightly before the time that you start your adolescent growth spurt, specifically when you are growing the fastest, the highest rate of growth. So what I'm talking about is getting taller. If your child is getting taller very rapidly, probably going through a growth spurt, and the lower jawbone follows that same pattern. So if you're taller all of a sudden, then your lower jaw is probably gonna get bigger. And just because it gets bigger, you're like, well, why don't I just let my jaw growth fix this? It's because it doesn't compensate. It doesn't grow that much forward. It usually stays about the same. So if your lower jaw is back here and it's growing, it's probably gonna grow a little bit forward, but it won't ever catch up because of that pattern. And what you need to do is you need to control the direction of that growth. You need to help it. So timing is key, and you've got to capture the adolescent growth spurt. If you miss this growth spurt, 2 options to fix excessive overbite after that. Take out teeth on top and surgery, because your bones at that point are adult bones and they don't grow the same way, or at least the same rate. Okay, that's key. It's not that you can't grow or change over time, right? But from now until you're like really old, you can see huge differences in bone, soft tissue, all sorts of things. I'm not saying you can't grow. I'm just saying you will never grow the exact same rate, the speed that you do when you're an adolescent. And so if you miss timing this treatment, you are out of luck. This is very time sensitive. So that's why the key fact is timing. You've got to go to your orthodontist and see where you're at on your growth spurt if you have this excessive overbite. overbite so that you can plan to time it as close to that growth spurt as possible so you can capture as much growth as you can to fix the problem and to stabilize. So check out our other videos. We've got a video on herps. That's our favorite device to use in the office. It's not rubber bands, so we're not relying on the patient to wear the rubber bands. You get something glued in. I know it looks kind of scary. It's not as bad after you get it in, but it holds the teeth, pushes it forward, it holds them in place, and then we try to allow the growth, right? The growth that we're going to have going through the growth spurt is going to stabilize it in that position. So this is a big deal. Share it with your friends. Please, 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 because this is by far the best technique to predictably fix excessive overbites, what we call overjet. It's through this technique of growth modification where you use the adolescent growth spurt to help stabilize the jaw, lower jaw forward, thus getting rid of your excessive overbite. There's different ways to do it. Like I said, I particularly am a fan of the glued in devices when we're talking about something that excessive to try and predictably improve it. So if you, or specifically your child, is getting older, right? Getting into middle school, it could be getting close to that time. You don't want to miss it. So get into the orthodontist sooner rather than later to at least have an evaluation and say, where are we at on this pattern? When do we need to time this so that we can nail it? So again, if you or your child get in, come find us in McKinney and Anna, Texas, where we can have a consult if you have excessive overbite and how we can fix it, or if you just have a friend that you know has excessive overbite, tell them about this. This is so important so that they can come find us. Otherwise, continue to subscribe to the channel, share this video, like it, all those good things. I hope this helps. Don't let the excessive overbite overtake you and your life. That's all I've got. Just a little PFOing so you know where you're going. Packard out.